Good evening. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Gadi Schwartz coming to you from Los Angeles. And here's some of the stories we're watching tonight. As we come on the air, we are on severe storm watch once again.
I've never seen a windier year ever in my life than this winter.
And Tennessee Republicans vote to kick out a Democratic lawmaker today over a gun control protest.
We called for you all to ban assault weapons, and you respond with an assault on democracy.
Rockets filed into Israel today for the second straight day. We are in Tel Aviv with an update on the violence. Plus, they are ready for liftoff. We're going to hear from the 4 astronauts headed to the moon.
This is the stuff that has inspired us all of our lives, and we just want to go. We're really excited to get going.
And your alarm is probably one of the most infuriating noises in the entire world, but one musician is on a mission to change that. And some breaking news out of Tennessee right now, where a second Democratic lawmaker has been expelled over the state GOP over their participation in a gun violence protest. Now, the debate over gun control in this state that just saw a mass shooting at an elementary school took a pretty shocking turn in Tennessee earlier today when 2 black Democratic state lawmakers were booted from the House of Representatives. Now, there's a lot to unpack here, and we're going to get to all of that. But right before the vote, we saw one of the lawmakers who was expelled make one of his statements, and here's part of what he said.
For years, one of your colleagues who was an admitted child molester sat in this chamber. No expulsion. One member sits in this chamber who was found guilty of domestic violence. No expulsion. We had a member pee in another member's chair in this chamber. No expulsion.
I know, a lot of questions after that, right? But the biggest question today that people in Tennessee are asking is, why was he expelled? Well, Tennessee state Republicans voted to expel Representative Justin Jones for chanting "no action, no peace" and interrupting the legislature during a recent gun control protest at the state capitol. Now, that protest took place last week after that deadly mass shooting at a Nashville school, which left 3 children and 3 adults dead. And it was actually 3 Democratic lawmakers in total that were accused of violating decorum. There they are right there. These 3 Democratic lawmakers, Representatives Gloria Johnson, Justin Jones, and Justin Pearson. Representative Gloria Johnson survived the vote. All 3 joined protests again today as hundreds came to the Capitol to show their support and insist on tougher gun safety laws.
I walked up to the well because you were pushing my people back. We brought a megaphone because you cut our people off, and you cut their representatives off from the microphone time after time after time after time after time again. And there comes a time where people get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson joins me now. Still a lot of people in the Capitol. What's going on right now?
Gadi, a lot of emotion on the ground right now. I'll try to lay out for you what just happened. You may see me turning around. Representative Justin Pearson just walked out of the chamber. He walked into the crowd for a moment. It's unclear. I'm trying to find him to see if he is speaking to supporters or what exactly he's doing. But I will tell you that before he came out, there were a slew of Republican lawmakers who came out, and this entire crowd of people, hundreds, shouting shame, shame, shame as they walked through that walkway flanked by state troopers, sort of keeping the crowds away from them as they sought to exit this building. And this is really the buildup of the energy that we've been seeing all day here. These demonstrators have been here since 8 o'clock this morning when the chamber first opened and legislation got underway. These votes did not come until the very end of the session today, and we have seen that 2 of those Democratic lawmakers, Representatives Justin Jones and and Justin Pearson have both been expelled, while one of those lawmakers, Gloria Johnson, narrowly survived the vote for expulsion. And so that is what you're seeing playing out here in real time as these proceedings come to an end. People are angry. You hear them shouting, "No justice, no peace." They have been chanting like this throughout the day, wanting to make sure that their voices were being heard inside of that gallery as those lawmakers were working. And I think the questions that are coming up now that we're beginning to hear emerge is a question of what role race has played here. You heard Representative Gloria Johnson saying that she believes that the reason why she may have been saved could have had something to do with her race. And that is something that I've heard echoed when I spoke with Representative Jones. He called this a political lynching. He was down on the floor and he accused Republicans of trying to put an uppity Negro, as he referred to himself, in his place. And so I think there are going to be a lot of questions moving forward about why some representatives were not expelled and others were, and really what precedent this sets and what message this sends. And again, all of this stemming from a conversation around gun reform and those three lawmakers who took to the floor last week to join with demonstrators who were in the gallery in demanding change. Gadi?
Priscilla, if I'm not mistaken, that's Representative Jones right behind you. How does this work? He's allowed in the Capitol. Are they allowed on the floor? Were they physically removed from the floor, or were they escorted out of the floor, and are they not allowed back in?
So I'm not actually clear about that. He had been coming in and out, and he continued coming in and out even after the vote to expel, but that's actually a very good question. And I will say he was among the people in this crowd that, when those Republican lawmakers came out, pointed at them and said, "Shame, shame, shame." And as for what comes next for him, he tells me that he is going to continue to advocate for this gun reform legislation, and he says that he's going to look at legal remedies because he feels like what has happened here today was completely unconstitutional. We know that by the book, what is expected to happen is that the governor will set a date for a special election. In the interim, the counties will fill those representative seats until that special election happens. But these lawmakers who were expelled could very well run for re-election again and win in that special election. This expulsion does not bar them from winning again. And the Tennessee Democratic Party has already said they plan to stand behind these lawmakers fully. Gadi?
Priscilla, in the Tennessee Capitol, where tensions are extremely high, we understand that there will be a press conference in just a few moments. We're going to bring you that live. Priscilla, thanks so much for joining us. And Missouri is the latest in a growing list of states battered by deadly tornadoes this spring. A massive tornado with winds of over 100 miles an hour tore through Bollinger County yesterday, killing at least 5 people. That storm system also created another tornado in Kentucky. One tore through Louisville, killing at least 1 person. And when we say these storms are relentless, we mean it. Little Rock, Arkansas was just getting their recovery started. Rolling Fork, Mississippi has a years-long path to rebuilding. And these catastrophes you see on the screen now, that all happened since March 25th. You've got to see this video from Indiana. A police officer was caught in the middle of a passing tornado in the middle of the night. That's the thing with these tornadoes. They come and go in such a quick instant, and it doesn't give people time to get to safety. And at night, they are basically invisible except for the debris that they throw around. And that's what makes them so dangerous in the dark. Joining us now is NBC meteorologist Angie Lastman. Angie, can you tell us a little bit about the severe weather threat that we're seeing tonight?
Yeah, I've got some good news. The tornado threat has diminished immensely across much of the eastern half of the country. We were mainly watching the mid-Atlantic for any of that kind of threat through the rest of the afternoon, which has now passed and into this evening. We don't have a threat of 0, let's say. We still have the potential to see some of these stronger storms. They're going to come with some gusty winds. We've already had plenty of wind reports. You can see those bright blue dots. That's what we're talking about to last through at least the next 2 hours in that area. You can see it does include places like Roanoke, Richmond, Norfolk, and Salisbury. That's where we'll see the potential for maybe a few more of these thunderstorms. But by the morning, that's going to be long gone. Then we turn our attention to the south, where we're going to see the potential for some flooding concerns that right now are just we're just mainly focused into Louisiana and parts of Texas. That's where it is for now. But as we get through the next 24 to even 48 hours into the weekend, this big batch of moisture is going to be a few rounds of heavy rain on already saturated grounds that's going to could be problematic for some flooding concerns. You can see that's the tail end of that same front that we've been watching for days and days. We're not going to be done with it just yet. The Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, we'll see that slide out. But look at all this rain that we're expecting across parts of the South. We're dealing with maybe 2-3 inches close to Raleigh, Jackson, New Orleans, Alexandria could have a couple of inches in Houston as well. We'll see localized amounts up to 6 inches in some of these spots. Flooding concerns will be there through the rest of today into tomorrow. You can see what happens here as we get into our Friday and round out our work week. And then all that moisture kind of just shifts along that stationary front over places like the Carolinas and Georgia. And we'll be dealing with the localized flooding concern here as we get into Saturday. That's going to be the main pinpoint. It does include places like Columbia, Augusta, Albany, and Panama City. So that'll be something to watch here as we get through at least Saturday, Gadi.
And looking at the rest of the country for the rest of us heading into this holiday weekend, what's it looking like?
Yeah, let's talk about that because I know there's tons of plans. Passover, Easter, we've got a lot going on. The midsection of the country is going to look really nice for Friday. Plenty of sunshine. Temperatures will be a little cooler than we'd like maybe for April. But on the West Coast, rain and some snow showers. I mentioned the flooding risk that we're going to see for the Southeast. That continues into Saturday plans. It'll feel really nice in the midsection of the country again as we get into Saturday. Temperatures into the 70s in places like Missouri and Kansas. As we get into Easter Sunday, it'll be starting to turn warmer in a lot of places. We'll look into maybe Chicago getting into those high 50s, upper 60s for places in Iowa. And along the East Coast and in the Northeast, upper 50s, low 60s, a little bit of sunshine, but we'll still be dealing with a couple of those thunderstorms that'll linger for parts of the Southeast, including the Florida Peninsula as we get into Sunday.
NBC's Angie Lassman, thanks so much. Today, Idaho became the first state where it is now a crime to help a pregnant minor get an abortion in another state. Now, the law calls it abortion trafficking, and it's punishable now by up to 5 years in prison. One of the bill's authors says the goal is to protect minors and keep parents involved with any abortion decisions.
It's important the state has an interest to make sure that minors are protected. Abortion is illegal in Idaho with certain exceptions. And the parents are informed about an abortion that's being pursued on their child's behalf.
NBC's Ali Vitale joins me. Ali, who can be charged under this, and when does it go into effect?
Look, Gadi, this is something that could go into effect in the next month, though there are certainly legal challenges to try to stop that from happening. But look, this is a state that's already extremely restrictive, but it is an idea of what some abortion advocates have been concerned about in the post-Roe era, which is not just states criminalizing abortion and banning it in their states, but making it harder to go to states where it's still available to people who want to access it. So specifically here, what we're talking about is parents is in cases where minors have not told their parents, someone cannot help them either leave the state for medical abortion, or we're also talking about the abortion pill. Anyone who helps them in either of those two cases could be tried up to 4 years after the incident happens. But we're also potentially talking about medical providers, even a medical provider who refers a would-be patient to either a clinic outside the state or helps them get the abortion pill. They could potentially be prosecuted here as well. And I think one of the important things to note here is that abortion advocates point out that most minors do tell their parents about their hopes to access abortion care. And so what abortion advocates say is that this is an instance where the most vulnerable are being targeted by this law.
And Ali, how is the whole question over jurisdiction being addressed here? Abortion is illegal in Idaho, but legal in other states. It seems like this is just asking to be taken straight to the Supreme Court, right?
Yeah, this could be yet another one of those laws that we end up following on a path from where it started in the legislature all the way up through the court system, especially because, as I said, there are some court cases already getting started here. But look, there is an open question, and it could become a pretty slippery slope because this law says you can't travel outside the state to get abortion care, whether it's medical or by the pill, but they can't actually legislate and prosecute around that. So now you're going to have to be in a situation where are they proving the intent of the person to, in this case, leave Idaho and travel to, say, Washington State, where abortion is legal and available to people? That's going to be one of the open questions about how this is even prosecuted. Another piece of it, too, Gadi, is that if a local prosecutor in Idaho says that they don't want to prosecute a case based on what they're seeing from this legislation, the state attorney general can actually take it up and prosecute it himself. That's pretty rare and not the way that things are traditionally done in terms of allowing state prosecutors the ability to decide what cases they charge and which they don't.
So many questions over jurisdiction. Do you think we're going to see more states where abortion is illegal do the same thing?
Yeah, look, I mean, we've seen over the course of the last few months since the Dobbs decision fell, without the lack of federal protection, states have been able to do any number of things that they want to do within their own states. What it means is you have this patchwork of rules across the country where some states have the option for women to access abortion care and other states don't. It becomes a really confusing process and time, especially when you look at the map that shows where abortion is outright banned. And then, of course, there are other states that ban it at 6 weeks, and later it becomes very confusing. And it also leaves a lot of room open for legal challenges and potentially big legal decisions out of other higher courts.
Ali Vitale, thanks so much.
Thanks.
Still ahead this hour, violence during a holy month. Israeli police forcibly removing Muslims out of the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem for the second time. And we're keeping our eye on the Tennessee State House, where Democrats up for expulsion will speak soon. So stay tuned. And over in Jerusalem, violence at the sacred Al-Aqsa Mosque resumed for the second night as Israeli police used force to remove dozens of worshippers yet again. Tensions are escalating between the two sides at a very sensitive time as Muslims mark the month of Ramadan and Jews have started the week-long Passover holiday. Meanwhile, Palestinian militants in the Gaza Strip continue to fire rockets at Israel, rising fears of a wider escalation. NBC News foreign correspondent Raf Sanchez has more from Tel Aviv.
Gadi, Israeli jets are tonight attacking targets in Gaza belonging to the Hamas militant group. The Israeli military says it has hit both tunnels and weapons manufacturing facilities belonging to that group. We're also hearing sirens going off in southern Israel, which suggests that Palestinian militants are shooting back. Now, these strikes coming after there was rocket fire from Lebanon into Israel earlier in the day. And people may be wondering, well, if the rockets came from Lebanon, why are the Israelis striking in Gaza? And the answer is Israel's military believes that those rockets, which were the largest barrage of rockets fired into Israel from Lebanon since 2006, were fired by Hamas and other Palestinian militant groups, which is why they are now going after these Hamas targets in Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he will do what's necessary to protect Israel and will retaliate to any aggression. But part of what makes this so complicated, Gadi, is that southern Lebanon, where these Palestinian armed groups are operating, is controlled by Hezbollah, this very, very powerful Lebanese militant faction. And so as Israel decides how to respond to this rocket fire, it's trying to go after these Palestinian groups without triggering an all-out war with Hezbollah, which could be potentially devastating for people both in Israel and in Lebanon. Now, all of this is coming after violence yesterday at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. We saw Israeli police storming into the mosque, which is the third holiest site in Islam. They beat Palestinians inside the mosque with nightsticks and with guns. Israeli police say they had no choice but to go into the mosque because extremists had barricaded themselves inside, had stockpiled weapons like rocks and fireworks. But Gadi, the fear now is that what started as violence at a holy site in Jerusalem spread to Lebanon and is now spreading to Gaza and into southern Israel. Gadi.
Some stunning images there. Raf Sanchez, thanks so much. And the United States sent a clear message to China today after a bipartisan group of lawmakers arrived in Taiwan as a symbol of solidarity.
Being here, I think, sends a signal to the Chinese Communist Party that the United States supports Taiwan and that we're going to harden Taiwan. and we want them to think twice about invading Taiwan.
China, which claims Taiwan is part of its territory, has been warning that all of this is a direct provocation. The arrival comes one day after Speaker Kevin McCarthy met with the Taiwanese president in California. NBC's Courtney Kuby has more.
Here in Taiwan, all eyes are on China after a series of high-level meetings between U.S. government officials and Taiwanese government officials. The first was earlier this week when House Speaker Kevin McCarthy met with Taiwanese President Tsai in California. The two showed unity between the U.S. and Taiwan, the very message that angered China. The Chinese government, of course, sees this as a violation of their sovereignty, a threat, potential threat to their sovereignty, and condemned the meeting. Well, on the heels of that, Thursday, another U.S. delegation arrived here in Taipei, led by Congressman Mike McCall, the chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. He met with Taiwanese Vice President Lai and expressed that same solidarity between the two sides. He's also scheduled to meet with President Tsai when she arrives back here in Taiwan later this week. Now, so far, the Chinese have had a series of fiery statements about these meetings and some threats. They have said that these meetings at these high levels could be a real red line between the U.S. and China relationship, which is already extremely tense at this point. But in addition to that, there is widespread expectation that there will be some sort of a military show of force by China as a direct response to these meetings. So far, we've seen a somewhat muted response militarily. They have an aircraft carrier off the southern coast of Taiwan. They have a couple of Chinese Coast Guard vessels that are patrolling the Taiwan Strait. But it's nothing like what we saw after then Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, visited here in Taiwan last summer. That unleashed a series of Chinese military drills, including live fire exercises and even a simulated blockade of the island here. So far, we haven't seen anything like that, but the concern is that one reason President Xi Jinping in China has not responded more forcefully is because he's hosting his own diplomatic visit of his own. French President Emmanuel Macron is there for several days. The question is, once he leaves, will we see a more forceful response out of China to these meetings?
Courtney, thank you. We've been hearing about the Taliban restricting women's rights in Afghanistan for a while now, and the Taliban has told the UN that Afghan women can no longer work for them. But today, the UN is pushing back. The UN secretary is calling it a violation of human rights and calling on the Taliban to immediately revoke the decision. The UN has also instructed all national staff, men and women, some 3,300 people, to not report to the local office until further notice.
It's a new escalation, if you wish, of the actions which have taken already a cruel and I would say a devastating blow against Afghan women, which will further undermine our collective ability of the entire community to support the population, and which is experiencing unprecedented humanitarian crisis.
Now, the Taliban has not responded to any of the UN's demands just yet. And coming up this hour, we're going to hear from the astronauts of NASA's Artemis 2 mission. But first, you got to see this. Imagine being the guy who drove up to this jaw-dropping scene in Alpine, California. Yeah, a large deer lying on the side of the road, stuck between the teeth of a huge 100-pound mountain lion. During that struggle, the approaching car spooked the lion, who let go of the deer, and that deer ran off. It's not clear what happened to the deer, but that's got to be like the animal kingdom version of winning the lottery, right? We'll be right back. And let's check in on some of the other headlines we're watching tonight. Music fans are still mourning the untimely death of rapper Coolio last year. Today, his manager confirmed to Variety his death was due to fentanyl. According to his family, the Gangsta's Paradise hitmaker also had traces of heroin and meth in his system. And request denied. The Supreme Court rejected an attempt from West Virginia to ban transgender women and girls from participating in public school sports teams that are consistent with their gender identities. In a statement, the state's Attorney General Patrick Morrisey called the High Court's move a procedural setback, but noted they are confident they will ultimately prevail. The wait is over. Golf fans finally have their answer. Players with the LIV Golf Tour will be able to compete at the Masters. It'll be the first time this season that golfers from the two tournaments will play alongside each other, and that tournament begins today in Augusta, Georgia. And Easter is just a few days away. Today, Pope Francis led the Holy Thursday Mass at St. Peter's Basilica, and in a ritual symbolizing humility, the Pope also washed and dried the feet of dozens of people who live in Rome at a juvenile prison. He also assured them of their dignity and told them any of us can fall into sin. And it might only be Thursday, but in case you've got a case of Saturday Night Fever, then this one is for you. The white three-piece suit worn by John Travolta in the 1977's film is up for auction. The sale is organized by Julian's Auctions and Turner Classic Movies, and the suit's expected to fetch up to $200,000. There's a suspected arsonist on the loose here in L.A., hitting communities like Mount Washington and Silver Lake. And now security footage shows a person running away after setting a man's trees on fire. KNBC reporter Darsha Phillips has more.
Walter Mogel and his family raced from their home in Mount Washington.
I freaked out. I think I started yelling fire. I think my nephew went to grab my parents to get him out of the house.
Friday night around 10:20, the cypress trees in Walter's front yard were on fire.
6 of them were fully ablaze and on fire. And which is the scariest scene in the world because it almost felt like they were like 2-3 feet away from me.
A neighbor had already called the fire department, and after the blaze was put out, Walter realized the wall of flames that nearly spread to his house was no accident.
The fireman, I think was close by, said, "No, you have an arsonist in the neighborhood. It's been happening around the neighborhood." I had no idea.
The Los Angeles Fire Department tells NBC4 there have been several suspicious fires around the Mount Washington, Glassell Park, and Silver Lake communities. Walter and his neighbors checked their surveillance cameras and saw this.
You just see a person walking across the street. Again, just a shadow of a person. Seconds later, I see sparks in the footage coming from the trees.
People who live here are anxious and angry.
That's more than scary, right? It's wrong.
They want to know why.
If it's a game, it's not a game. There are people living like several feet away from these things.
And hope the person is caught before more damage is done.
Well, it's kind of scary, not only for the property, but also, of course, for the lives. A lot of older people live here.
Very scary. Thanks so much, Darsha. It's been 2 days since the murder of Cash App founder Bob Lee in San Francisco, and police say the 43-year-old father of two was fatally stabbed at about 2:30 a.m. near San Francisco's Bay Bridge. He was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. So far, no arrests have been made, and it is not known if the attack was targeted. I'm joined now by NBC's Nayala Charles. Nayala, what do we know right now?
Well, like you said, it's been 2 days since Bob Lee was killed, stabbed to death around 2:30 a.m. Tuesday. Since then, police haven't released, Gadi, any information on a possible suspect or motive here. And the police chief is saying the investigation is still in its early stages. Because of that, they say they're not releasing any information on possible evidence here, and also even speculating what they say could be a possible motive. So we do know in the meantime, the last couple of days, they have been going through all the different surveillance cameras in the area, also asking the public to come and give their information as well if they have it. Gadi?
Widening it out a little bit. I mean, San Francisco has been the target of so much criticism when it comes to crime. A lot of people are just talking about how crime rates there have spiked. In fact, I think the city's DA was talking about this a little bit earlier today. Here's what he had to say. Take a listen.
We are not going to correct a problem overnight that took years to cause. And so I think, you know, as I've asked the public for, is patience to get to the place that we need to.
Now, Nayala, what is going on when we're looking at trends there?
So you're seeing a lot of pressure that the DA has right now because, like you said, it's a common conversation when talking about San Francisco for the people who live there and visitors that go there, that they're concerned about their safety in the city. So we do know, Gadi, in the last couple of years, murder has been up there as well as robbery, theft, and assault. So that's why, because since of this death of Bob Lee, that these conversations are starting again. And if you remember, Gadi, too, there's a lot of pressure on that DA because last year, the last DA who had the position was ousted by those voters in a special recall election because of their frustrations with crime.
Yeah, so much of that was a referendum on crime itself.
Correct.
I want to ask, have we heard from Lee's family members or friends?
Well, I do want to read you a statement that Lee's 14-year-old daughter made, and it was shared by her mom. It says, "I'm devastated that someone would be so cruel to take away my father's life." She says he was the best man and even better father. If you ask anyone who knew him, they'd always say that he was the best, and they would always have some amazing story to share about their experiences with him. And even his former wife saying he was everyone's best friend. His friends telling us, Gadi, that he's the guy you would call when you had a question about anything. He would always answer with good advice.
Such heartbreaking words from his 14-year-old daughter. Nayala, thanks so much for joining us. And for 3 students at Michigan State University, surviving a deadly school shooting on campus earlier this year felt harrowing. It also felt familiar because they were already gun violence survivors living through the Oxford High School shooting back in 2021. Here's NBC's Danielle Campamore.
Ava, Bailey, and Emma were seniors at Oxford High School in 2021 when tragedy struck. A 15-year-old opened fire on his classmates, killing 4 and injuring 7.
It's just so scary, and you never think that would ever happen.
The girls lost friends and a sense of safety that day, telling themselves that it would never happen again as they started college at Michigan State University.
What were your hopes for this year? What were you looking forward to?
Just like being able to go into a new environment, just like a clean slate kind of.
But then it happened again. Ava, Bailey, and Emma, now MSU freshmen, were on campus February 13th when a 43-year-old gunman shot and killed 3 students before taking his own life.
I was just purely in shock, honestly, and horrified.
They say they're now part of a horrifying and growing club of people who have survived 2 school shootings.
We, the children of the United States of America, are dying every day. How many will die before it is enough?
I felt like a lot of the progress I had made over the last 14 months just completely disappeared. And you're like, where do I go now? Like, how do I, come back from this?
I had that trauma response. It kind of just clicked in my brain, and I was like, okay, well, we need to, in order to stay safe, this is the things that we can do, so we should do it, just to make sure.
As the MSU community heals from the tragedy, the group says they feel an obligation to help their fellow students, some experiencing the trauma of gun violence for the very first time.
I just tell them, if they want to talk, they can. Emotionally, I know, what it's like to go through it already. So I'm just kind of there for them.
Healing has not been easy.
After the Oxford shooting, I remember crying, and the emotions the first time were very present. When it came to the second time, I felt very numb, and I felt like, is there something wrong with me? Why can't I cry?
None of us are okay, but there's no timeline for coming back from this. I feel like a lot of people the first time felt pressured to just bounce back, and you don't have to do that. You're feel it. They'll help.
Do you think you'll ever feel fully safe going to school?
I mean, no, honestly. It's kind of always a thought at the back of my head.
Danielle Campamore, NBC News.
And we're monitoring more breaking news. Lawmakers in Tennessee are speaking right now. Let's go ahead and listen in.
To be elected as a freshman in 2012 with Gloria Johnson. Yeah! I know who Gloria Johnson is. She stands tall and fights for her community. And unfortunately, I haven't had enough time to serve with Justin Pearson, but everybody knows who Justin Pearson is and what he stands for. And so, friends, I want to leave you with this, and I'm going to hand this over to my colleagues. But I stand hopeful today. This is the lowest point in our state in the history of democracy as we know it in Tennessee. But I stand hopeful because of everyone in front of me and everyone behind me. I ask that you continue to show up, you continue to make your voices heard, and let's get real reform. Let's get real gun reform. Still Hail my colleague, Representative Gloria Johnson.
Thank you all so much. Thank you all for being here, showing support for all of it, all of us. I just don't know if you realize how much it means to us, and to have people really pay attention to our ask, so that we can make sure there were witnesses to what happened in that room today. We were so fearful they would remove our constituents from the gallery or remove the press. And we were able to keep everybody there. And it's so critical when these kinds of things are happening in this state. We are marching into fascism with a supermajority that has proven that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I just cannot say enough about how proud I am always and forever to stand with these two brilliant young men who connect with their community, who really listen and understand the voters in their districts and across this state, who can tell everybody in the most powerful way. They spoke to our members. They won't admit it, I don't think, but they spoke to those hearts. Yep. I could see it on faces. Yeah. The difference where I made it, young men did not make it through. I think you're right. We know. The difference. I think we might have soon. And it is my promise to get both of them back. Justin Jones came and knocked doors in Knoxville multiple times. I couldn't get to Memphis because of my own being in a house and everything, but I supported Justin Pearson from afar. I will continue to do that, and I will continue to ask all of you all to help make sure we get these fabulous young men back to the House.
They thought they won today, but they don't realize. They don't realize what they started. They started a movement they can't stop. They thought that we were. So I hope to see.
And it looks like we're having some technical difficulties there, so we're going to try to check back as we hear from those lawmakers there live on the steps of the Tennessee Capitol. But in the meantime, welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're going to get you caught up real quick. First, we're keeping our eyes on extreme weather out in the mid-Atlantic. D.C. and the Roanoke area of Virginia are under a severe thunderstorm watch through 10 o'clock tonight. In Tennessee, as you just saw, Republicans have just expelled 2 of the 3 Democratic lawmakers who interrupted the legislature while protesting for gun safety laws earlier this week. And we're seeing another day of violence in Israel, all happening during a Holy Week after a raid on one of the most sacred mosques there. The Israeli military says dozens of rockets were fired from Lebanon. And it's been 20 years since the passing of NBC News correspondent and Weekend Today co-anchor David Bloom. NBC's Peter Alexander reflects back on his legacy.
David Bloom was committed, compelling, and courageous. On camera, he shined, so talented and tenacious, covering the world's biggest stories from 9/11.
40 more stories of concrete, steel, and iron crashing to the ground.
To the U.S. invasion of Iraq.
This sandstorm has been pounding these troops here in the 315 Infantry.
Sometimes we look back and think about what it would have been like if he was still around, and I don't know.
I think he would have been going to the most dangerous parts of the world.
Yeah, he's
still
seeking
those stories.
Sad news today from the front lines of Iraq. NBC's David Bloom, a husband and father, adventurous spirit, and our colleague, died overnight.
David collapsed while embedded with a third ID as it rolled north toward Baghdad. A blood clot from deep vein thrombosis traveled to his lungs. Beloved for his boyish enthusiasm, David Bloom was just 39, leaving behind wife Melanie and their young daughters, 9-year-old twins Christine and Nicole, and Ava, just 3. To the girls, he wasn't David, he was Dad, and a huge ball of energy.
He would carry the 3 of us up our staircase at the same time with a twin under each arm and me on his shoulders.
Oh my gosh.
And he would pretend to lose his balance until we were all screaming and laughing.
For the twins, now 29, some moments are seared into their memories.
The last moment that we saw him, we were all like huddled in our front entryway in our house. We all held hands in a circle and said that our father, and he hugged us all goodbye, and then he got in his black town car and drove down the street, and he stuck his hand out and was waving to us like the whole way down the street. After he passed, I had like recurring dreams that he was coming back down the street in that town car, and he was coming home again.
Nicole shared with us some of her dad's last words to them. Always unselfish, he wanted to make sure his daughters were too.
So when you're missing me, as I am missing you, remember to say a prayer for all the other boys and girls who are missing their mommies and daddies too. And yes, my dear sweet girls, when I'm a little bit scared, I promise you I will remember you and your mom, and I will know in my heart just how much you love me. To the moon and back, right? Love, Daddy.
Years later, David's soundman, Bobby Lapp, returned to Iraq and brought home sand from near where their dad passed.
Makes you feel close to your dad even to this day.
Absolutely. A moment in time that really changed our family, and having a physical piece of that is really meaningful.
Seems like faith has helped all of you in its own way.
Yeah, absolutely. After he passed, I used to keep a diary that I would write to him. Like, it was random, but I would say, instead of dear diary, I would say, dear daddy, and I would just, yeah, and if I was struggling with something, I'd be like, can you please help me? And kind of like reaching out to him up in heaven.
So, who knows what this is?
Oh my gosh, is that?
Oh my goodness,
This is the Bloomobile.
Oh my gosh.
We brought David's girls and their mom, Melanie, to see David's dream, the one-of-a-kind vehicle he helped design to bring NBC's viewers to the war's front lines.
I'm so grateful that he was able to talk to each one of his girls and to me within 24 hours of losing his life.
What would David think of these girls, these women, today?
I think looking down, he's got to be so proud of the young ladies that they've become.
His legacy lives on with such an incredible family. Peter Alexander, thanks so much. And this week, we learned who the 4 astronauts will be for Artemis 2. The crew will orbit the moon with the goal of setting up NASA for a future mission to land on the moon and eventually a journey to Mars. They joined our friends on the Today Show to talk about the historic mission.
Tell us what it feels like to get to this moment.
It's an absolutely incredible moment, you know, to have the opportunity to give back to the people that were inspiring me when I was that young little girl, and to eventually realize the dreams that were in the posters on my wall as a kid, and to be here in a time we're going for all and by all. It's an amazing time, and I'm honored to be here.
Captain Hansen, this will be your first visit to space. What is it inside that makes you individuals? I said, you guys, we were sitting down, I said, you guys have guts. You got guts to go up and to do something that is so courageous and really on the edge of and pushing the limits of what we can do. What is it inside you that makes you want to do that?
I think it's just that spirit of exploration. I mean, all of us, I'm sure, will have moments of fear, and you know, maybe in the days leading up. But right now, we're not scared at all. Like, that doesn't even intimidate us. We're just excited. Like, this is the stuff that has inspired us all of our lives, and we just want to go. We're really excited to get going.
Yeah, Captain Weissman, a lot of people would say, well, we did this 50 years ago, and that was amazing. Why is it important to do it again?
Well, first, we want to go to Mars.
Yeah, go to Mars.
And to go to Mars, we got to go first to the moon. We've been doing great work on the International Space Station. But really, at the core, humans are explorers. And we want to motivate the youth of the entire world to go do something great. And you can do it by words, and some people will hear you, or you can do it by action, and the world will hear you. And so we want to inspire.
And coming up, we're going to give you a preview of the headlines you can expect tomorrow. But before that, you know that terrible iPhone alarm that just makes you jump? Well, musical genius Tony Ann decided to make it a little bit more fun, and you are not going to want to miss this. And we're heading into Friday, April 7th, and here are a couple of stories to watch out for. We've got the March jobs report dropping around 8:30 tomorrow morning. Analysts are predicting about 233,000 jobs to be added last month, down from February's 311,000. And we're following Good Friday celebrations around the world. Pope Francis is expected to take part in a service in Rome only a week after he was hospitalized for bronchitis. All right, and finally, for tonight's edition of the Best of Us, there's the sound that we all know and hate, right? The dreaded ringer, or maybe even an alarm, that repetitive default iPhone chime that just can't get out of your head. I mean, I should probably turn this off, right? Or maybe get it. Now, I can wait, because we're about to introduce you to Tony Ann. He is a YouTuber, an Instagram composer that has somehow taken the cringy, nails on a chalkboard ringtone and turned it into a musical masterpiece. Take a listen. I mean, listen to that. Making ballads out of ringtones is not his only talent. He takes that keyboard everywhere, to the beach, to the mountains, from London to LA, but those backgrounds all playing second fiddle to the sound that he makes. So, of course, we'd figured we'd invite him here. This is Tony Ann. He joins us now. Welcome, and thank you for tweaking that iPhone sound. Yeah. It is now what I hear whenever my phone starts going on. What does it look like? Can you give us a little bit of a sample?
For sure. So that annoying thing, I turned it into...
This is how a morning should begin. How did you get inspired? Was it you just woke up and then you're like, you know what? Where's my keyboard?
So this is what happened. So I actually wake up every day to this alarm. And this idea kind of popped in my head somewhere around summer last year. You know, I kept snoozing my alarm. You know, this annoying thing kept playing. And I'm always trying to think of ways of turning very popular tunes, whether it be like an iPhone alarm, or I did something with like a car alarm. You know, I think, because I feel like everything can be turned into music.
Everything, even the most annoying, like, get up out of bed sound can become music?
Yeah, so like I got out of bed, you know, because this is actually a very nice melody.
You think so? I mean, I thought so maybe the first time, and now I'm just like, oh my gosh.
So like I got up and I tried something, and this was really the first idea that popped into my head, like what you hear.
And so this isn't just all you do. I mean, I've heard you incorporate the sound of a car alarm. I've heard you take this and turn it into a masterpiece. Can you play us a little bit of what else you might be working on? I know that you've got an album that you're working on.
Oh, for sure.
Let's hear it.
So I'll play the first
Just give us a little taste.
Single that I ever released as a solo artist.
Perfect.
It's called Lost.
Dude, you know, we've got a bunch of comments. We've been going through the comment section on your YouTube. I wanted to read some of them to you. I wanted to see what you thought.
Let's hear.
Tony's music calms me down whenever I feel stressed, angry, or disappointed. Another person wrote, when my baby is screaming because they are tired, I play any of Tony's songs and she's asleep before the very end, hearing that song. I mean, that is exactly how I feel. When you read these comments, what do you think?
I mean, when I read comments like that, it gives me so much drive and inspiration to continue making music, you know, because I feel like music is such a special thing in our lives because, you know, it can move us, it makes us cry, makes us happy. And knowing that my music does that to, you know, whether it be parents or young kids, it gives me all the reason to continue doing it, you know, and it proves that music is very healing. It is medicine, you know.
It's universal.
You know, so it inspires me hearing comments like that.
You inspire all of us, so thanks so much. If you have something to take us out of the show, please feel free.
For sure.
Have at it,
so
man.
This is my upcoming single coming out April 21st called Rain.
All right, let's hear a little bit of it. Tonight, we're going to leave you with some more of this music from Tony Ann. We're going to see you tomorrow. But until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.